What's going on, y'all? It's your man, Stephen Bardo, coming at you with another edition of Bardo's Breakdown. I hope you guys doing well. The Big Ten is living up to its reputation as a league that each and every game, each and every night may have a surprising outcome. Thanks for tuning in. Do me a favor, like, share, and comment on this live show. Also, make sure you hit the notification so you know that when I'm coming live, because I like to do the show on Mondays at the same time, but sometimes I'm doing a game and I have to change up the time. And then during the week, there's so much stuff that's going on. I think it would be too much to wait till Monday to come on and share some of my thoughts and have us have a nice discussion about what's going on in the world of Big Ten and college basketball. Happy Friday to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So let's get right to it. As you can see, the scroll on the bottom, text me to 312-847-2739 if you want to be on the inner circle of Bardo's Breakdown. We have a lot of fun with that. You can ask people that have joined. I just send little things, pictures, videos, things like that behind the scenes. I think you'll like. Also, where is it? Here it is. If you want to join the email list, hit me up, stephenbardo.com/college-basketball-newsletter. stephenbardo.com/college-basketball-newsletter. All right, let's get into it. So, Rutgers looks like a Big Ten title contender, ladies and gentlemen. They go in and beat Purdue at Purdue. I believe they've beaten Purdue 6 of the last 8 games. So they have the personnel, they have the approach, and they're tough. Matt Painter said in the post-game press conference that if he was going to war, he'd stop in Jersey and pick up those dudes because they're tough and they play hard. And they played well. And the thing that would plague the Scarlet Knights in the years past was that they'd have a big win like that, and then they'd come back the next game and lose a game that they probably shouldn't have lost. And so for them to have the high of winning at Purdue, beating the number 1 team in the country for the second year in a row. If you guys remember, they beat Purdue last year when Purdue was number 1 in the RAC. They do it in Mackey Arena, which is even a more impressive feat. But then they come back and handle business at home against a struggling Maryland team, but nonetheless, they came back and handled their business. And so their depth, I love Derek Simpson. I was telling you guys about him in the preseason. Cam Spencer has been a revelation. Not only can he score the rock, he's one of the best defenders in the conference. I believe he leads the conference in steals. He and Chase Audige are 1 and 2, I believe. Paul McKay, he is healthy, and at a 6'7" point guard can really facilitate and do a lot of different things. Cliff Amourier is a stud inside, dunks everything at 6'11", very active. And they like each other. You can tell this team really, really likes each other. They have great chemistry. They play for one another. They're unselfish, and boy, do they play hard. And Caleb McConnell will more than likely end up being the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year once again. Steve Pikiell thinks he's the best defender in all of college basketball, and he may very well be right. So this Rutgers team, in the era of the transfer portal, has shown that teams in the Big Ten, you can add a transfer or two, but if you have a really large roster turnover, it's hard to have that kind of fabric that you need, that cohesiveness and that toughness that you need when you go on the road to pull out victories like they did at Mackey Arena. That's because they've got guys that have been there. Mulcahy has been there. Caleb McConnell has been there for years. Cliff Amourier has been there for years. These guys, Andre Hyatt, I believe, has been there. I believe Andre's a junior. They've got older guys. Caleb McConnell been there forever. And so in this era of the transfer portal and NIL, what you guys are seeing, at least in the Big Ten anyway, is that the teams that had less turnover tend to be the most successful. And the teams that have, this is not a new formula, teams that have older guys that have been through the Big Ten gauntlet before. They know what to expect. They know that you have to bring it every night. They're successful. So they go on. Big ups to Purdue. That's my team of the week because they handled their business at home against Maryland and go on the road and beat the number one team in the country. That's pretty darn impressive. Purdue bounces back with a huge win at Ohio State. The depth for the Boilers really showed up. I told you guys before that I knew that David Jenkins would pay off. His presence, his ability to score the basketball, he was in the game down the stretch. Believe he was 3 of 3 from three-point land. He kind of settled the Boilers down. Braden Smith got going a little bit. Braden Smith had a good game, don't get me wrong. But Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer on the road as freshmen, new environment, tough scenario. You're the number one team in the country, so you're getting everyone's best shot. And they had some turnovers. They weren't playing their best basketball, but Braden bounced back late in the game, to his credit, and Fletcher hit a huge shot, the game winner. But David Jenkins came in and really solidified what the Boilers were trying to do. Mason Gillis didn't hit shots. He got some good looks, but did not hit shots. Ethan Morton is starting to shoot the three with confidence. I believe he hit 2 threes in the game. He's always going to be a great defender. He's going to share the basketball, but he shot the ball with confidence. And guys, if Purdue can get Ethan Morton to just take the shot when it's there, if they can get Brandon Newman to come in and play like a scorer off the bench, Mason Gillis' shot will come back. Caleb First, I thought, played well because he's playing with a ton of energy. And Zach Edey is Zach Edey, and teams are starting to figure out how to try to slow him down. So he hasn't been as dominant in the last few games because now you're in conference play. And these teams do a great job of game planning against what you want to do as a team, your first or second options. These coaches, do a great job of game planning. So Zach kept his composure. They were battling in there. Felix Akpar from Ohio State. I tip my hat to that young man. Zed Key went out in the first half with a shoulder injury. Felix Akpar held his own defensively against Zach Edey. And Ohio State was outstanding in this game. That was a terrific basketball game. And Purdue was able to get the last shot from Fletcher Lawyer, a kick-out three. Bruce Thornton goes down and double teams Zach Edey on the post. Zach throws right over the top, right in the shooting pocket of Fletcher Lawyer, and he hits a clutch three after struggling much of the game. So a huge bounce-back victory for Purdue in a gauntlet of a week. Purdue still has to go to Penn State on Sunday. So they lose to Rutgers at home. They go to Ohio State and win by 1. And now they got to go to Penn State, who's going to be sitting there waiting for them because Penn State clawed back against Michigan but didn't close the deal. Michigan did a good job of closing out that game. But big ups to Purdue in their victory at Ohio State, one of the best games thus far in the Big Ten Conference. Everybody thought the Michigan Wolverines were dead. Michigan is like the Wisconsin Badgers are 3-0 in conference play. 2 really good wins. Maryland is struggling. I think Maryland played too many good teams in a row. Illinois, Tennessee, UCLA, and I'm missing somebody in there. Oh, Wisconsin. They played way, in my opinion, just too many high-level games in a row, and it just wore them down. And Julian Reese, to me, doesn't seem to want to play the center position. He seems a little surly that he's having to bang against these premier bigs. And so, but I digress. We're talking about the Michigan Wolverines. They've done a really good job since their surprising home loss to Central Michigan. And what Juwan Howard told me was that sometimes you have to get humbled to understand who you really are. And that you're maybe not as good as you thought you were. And so I tip my hat to the Michigan Wolverines, in particular, Juwan Howard and his staff, Howard Isley, Sadie Washington. They do a fantastic job. And so Michigan, like Wisconsin now, is 3-0 in conference play. And they've got a huge game tomorrow at Michigan State. That'll be interesting because Michigan State is going like this, ladies and gentlemen. I think they're a Big Ten title contender. When Michigan State is healthy, they'll be there at the end for the Big Ten title. And so Michigan is got confidence now. You know it's a rivalry game. You know there's bad blood between Hunter Dickinson and the Michigan State program. Hunter Dickinson has a podcast, and he's been running his mouth on it. And I know the big fella is confident, but some of the things he said, I just hope don't come back to bite him. He had a choice adjective for Izzo that I won't say. I'll encourage you all to go look it up and hear what he said. He's kind of walked some of those comments back, thank goodness. But once it's out there, it's out there. And so hopefully he doesn't get any retribution from some of his comments, because he's been very pointed, very slightly controversial in his comments on his podcast. So the Breslin Center will be buzzing with energy. That place, I wish I could be there for that game. I mean, I'd love to call it. I think it's on Fox. So it's Gus Johnson and Jimmy Jackson have the call, and they'll do it justice. But that is going to be a hell of a game. But the Michigan Wolverines are rising after having a stunning home loss to Central Michigan. So big ups to the Wolverines. And I look forward to seeing how they handle what's coming tomorrow. As I said, to me, Michigan State looks like a legit Big Ten favorite. They handled Nebraska at home. And you're saying, Bardo, what are you talking about? Nebraska? Nebraska's a better team. Now, they don't shoot the ball well. They don't shoot from the perimeter well. They don't shoot free throws well, but they compete. And they're a very much improved defensive team. And as you guys know, offense sells tickets, but defense wins championships. Defense can keep you in a game. Defense can travel. But Michigan State was impressive. With Malik Hall back, they have a different swagger. They have much more versatility on both ends of the floor, especially on the defensive end. And as Malik Hall starts to get his sea legs back and get more minutes, telling you, this Michigan State team, they've got it all. They got veteran play, Tyson Walker, A.J. Hoggard, Joey Hauser, Malik Hall. They got four. And I'll throw Jaden Atkins in there. Akins is starting to come back. He's coming off injury. He's coming back. He's riling in form. They've got 5 guys and go get their own shot. I think that's, to me, outside of Illinois, that's probably the most guys can go get their own shot. Illinois got shot makers. Now, they're not a cohesive unit, but they got shot makers. Michigan State has about 5 of them that you can give them the ball and they can go get their own shot. You know the kind of defense they play. They're one of the best assist teams in the country. They share the basketball as well as anybody in the country, and they're one of the best rebounding teams. And they love the fast break. So Michigan State has all the ingredients of a Big Ten title contender and at least a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament. So I was very impressed once Malik Hall got back of what Michigan State looks like. And you guys know the Spartans have played a gauntlet of a schedule, so they know who they are. None of these Big Ten teams are going to phase them. They're already conditioned for every game now to bring their best. They went to Penn State and beat Penn State. That's a big win. That's not going to happen often this season. There's not going to be many teams that go into Happy Valley and come out with a victory. I'm telling you, I know you guys think I'm crazy. For you all that have not watched Penn State, you're like, oh, Bardo, that's hyperbole. No, it's not. Penn State is a NCAA tournament team. If you haven't heard that, you heard it here first. Penn State is legit. And Michigan State went in there and won that game in impressive fashion. So the Spartans are legit and they're for real. The Illini's woes continue. as they go to Northwestern in a rivalry game, and Northwestern handles the Illini. The Illini kind of they go in spurts, and they have these periods where they go scoreless. So they got behind in the first half. They fight their way back at halftime. They take the lead in the second half, and then Northwestern turns up their defense, and Boo Buie comes alive. Boo Buie was 0 of 10 at one point, and then he started to catch fire. Chase Aldiz played well. Robbie Barron played pretty well. Andrew Nicholson held his own in the paint. Ty Berry starting to play better. Roper is playing a lot better. Northwestern, to me, is a tournament team, and they showed it. They handled the Illini in a rivalry game, and I believe that was a sellout. That was a sellout attendance in Welsh Ryan Arena, and that was a fantastic performance by the Northwestern Wildcats, holding serve at home. Because this year, if you get 9 wins in the Big Ten Conference, you're a tournament team. So let's see where Northwestern is. Northwestern is 2-1 in the conference. So to me, if they get 7 more conference victories, they're going to be in the tournament. And that was an impressive victory. The Illini, on the other hand, will be a tournament team, but I encourage the Illini fan base to relax, because the Big Ten title, that doesn't look to be within reach. What the Illini can do, however, now that the pressure is off of them, because some people had them as preseason favorites, some people had them, going deep into the tournament. They're not that team right now. But what they can do is settle down now, turn off the noise. Hopefully there's less noise because they've gotten beaten a few times, and regroup as a team, come together and figure out who they are and what they're going to be. And then steadily work their way through these wonderful opportunities in the Big Ten, because each and every night you're going to have an opportunity to be to beat a top 50, top 100 net team that can bolster your tournament resume, because the Illini don't appear to be prepared right now to challenge for the Big Ten title. They're 0-3 with Minnesota. And the Big Ten champion, in my opinion, I think will have at least 5 losses. So you're asking the Illini to go, 15-2 the rest of the way? I don't really see that happening. But what I do see happening, because I've seen Brad Underwood do this before, when, people think, the team, just they're an afterthought because they haven't been playing well, or they don't look like they can play well. Brad Underwood I've seen him do this in the past, where his teams start to build and they start to get better, and they have a come to Jesus meeting where they get everything out on the table, everything. And then he and his staff come together and they figure out a game plan. Because you guys remember now, they've shown they can beat anybody in the country, but they can also lose to anybody in the country as well. So Illini fans, relax, root your team on. They got a tough game against the number, I think Wisconsin is 14. Yeah, Wisconsin is 14th in the country. Tomorrow they come to Champaign for an outstanding opportunity against a team that, and I haven't given Wisconsin enough love for the consistency in which they've shown and played. And so big ups to Northwestern. The Illini need to go back to the drawing board, but they've got some wonderful opportunities ahead of them. So Illini fans, relax, cheer your team on, encourage them. Don't blow them up on social media. Show them some love. Show that you're a true Illini fan. You can be upset about where they are. That's fine. There's no shame or nothing wrong with that. But don't be a fair weather fan and ask for Brad Underwood to be fired when you were swinging on a body part after they beat Texas. Everybody wanted to give Brad Underwood a 10-year contract after they beat Texas. And then after they lose to Missouri, folks are calling for Brad Underwood to be fired. Ludicrous. But that's fans, because fans are short for fanaticals. And we love fanaticals because That's a big part of what college basketball and what makes this sport special. But Illini fans, relax. The Big Ten title is not in reach. Doesn't appear to be within reach. But this team, if they can get on the same page and they can improve, this is a team that can beat anybody in the country. And they have the talent to be a second weekend team. They just got to figure out who they are and what they're going to be. But they can start tomorrow with an outstanding challenge against a really, really good Wisconsin team that doesn't get a lot of love. Boy, what a wild game last night. Iowa and Indiana went at it. Oh, my goodness, that was a hell of a game. And Indiana goes up 21. Iowa fights back and wins the game. Now, one of the things I want to send my well wishes. Wait a minute. Oh man, I got too many things going on in my mind. Race Thompson went down with an ugly looking knee injury. He came back out on the court on crutches. It does not look good. So a once promising season with the Hoosiers intact. Xavier Johnson goes down with a broken foot at Kansas. Now, I haven't heard an official word on what the injury is to Race Thompson, but it did not look good, ladies and gentlemen. And here's what I loved about what I saw from Indiana Hoosiers last night. When Race Thompson got hurt, he was on the court. It was a serious injury. And the young man looked like he was in tears because he was hurt and he knew the severity of the injury. Trace Jackson Davis told his teammates, get your behinds off the bench and surround this kid. Surround our teammate, our fallen teammate. Because as a team, you don't want the cameras to be zeroing in on this kid as he's trying to process what just happened to him. You don't want to do that. You want to protect him. And so Trace Jackson Davis and the stars were standing there. And then Trace said, get over here. And the team came over and surrounded him. Then they helped him off the floor. I thought that was great leadership from Trace Jackson Davis, recognizing the importance of that moment and telling his teammates, get your tails out here to surround your teammate. I love that. Now, that's something that fans that may not have played why are you making a big deal of that? Because that's a big sign of leadership. And that's his boy. That's his roommate. That might be Trace's best friend. Race and Trace do everything together. So he was hurting. And Trace Jackson Davis re-injured his back, but he kept playing. He re-injured his back and he did not come out. That dude is tough. Now, from a career longevity standpoint, I don't know how wise that is for him to keep playing, but I appreciate his toughness because he knew his team needed him. And he balled out in the second half with a re-injured back. So big ups to Indiana and Trace Jackson Davis for showing a ton of heart on the road with one of your fellow teammates goes down, a very important part of what Indiana is trying to do. And yet they still had a chance to win the game at the end of the game. So now on to the Iowa side. Iowa's without Patrick McCaffrey, who's out because he's dealing with some anxiety issues. This team, I believe Iowa had lost 3 or 4 in a row. They were reeling. They did not look good in their loss at Penn State. But Fran went Fran. Fran McCaffrey went Fran. He got hot. He got a technical, and his team responded. And I saw what some of the Indiana Hoosiers fans say about Fran McCaffrey. Say what you want, but his team responded, and they rallied. And boy, did they play a second half. Chris Murray is playing his tail off. Rabracha played his tail off. What's his name? Sanford was on the side of a milk carton. He hadn't hit a 3 in Big Ten play. He came out balling. He hit 4 or 5 threes last night, got to the hole, played really strong defense. And that Iowa team came together last night. They learned something last night. That was the team that a lot of people thought could be in the upper echelon of the Big Ten. They got a slow start to the Big Ten Conference. But that game last night, coming from 21 down to beat I think Indiana's ranked 15th in the country, and that was a rested Indiana team. They hadn't had a game in 13 days. Something crazy, a really long stretch where they had a break before that game. And Iowa came back and won that game in impressive fashion. That was a wild, fun Big Ten game to watch. Before I get to the games of the week, I mentioned Patrick McCaffrey is out with anxiety. It takes a lot of strength to admit that you're going through some issues. He did that. I have to admit the timing wasn't the best with his team reeling, but it was important for him to step away from the game a little bit. He was on the bench last night. He's supporting his teammates. He didn't bail. He just needed to take a step back. So I salute you, young man, for being strong and sharing your story, because what happens is somebody's going to get strength from that. Somebody's going to get inspiration from that. Somebody will feel comforted because this guy that appears to have it all, a guy that I think can play at the next level. I really do. I think Patrick McCaffrey has the size, the scoring ability, and the moxie to have an opportunity. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think he's going to have an opportunity to play at the next level. For a young man like that from the outside looking in appears to have everything together, for him to make that statement and to let the world know that he's struggling with anxiety issues, that is not only going to make him stronger and his team stronger with what they went through last night, but he's really he'll hear about this years from now. Someone will come up to Patrick and say, man, you know what? My daughter was struggling. And when you had your anxiety situation, you came out and shared what you were battling with. She saw that and got inspiration and strength. So big ups to Patrick McCaffrey. Get well soon, my man. We look forward to seeing you real soon. And congratulations to Iowa on a fantastic come-from-behind victory last night. All right. Games this weekend that you need to watch. Obviously, Michigan at Michigan State, 1:30 at Fox. Gus Johnson and Jimmy Jackson on the 1s and 2s. The number 14th ranked Wisconsin Badgers, 3-0 in Big Ten play, invade the State Farm Center. I'm going to be politically correct today. Wisconsin invades the State Farm Center to take on Illinois, 12:30 p.m. on ESPN2. And then Sunday, Purdue is finishing up a gauntlet of a week. 5 p.m. Sunday, Big Ten Network. Purdue at Penn State. I'm not exactly sure who's on the call for that one. I should have checked that before, but I apologize. So let's get a look at the Big Ten standings really quickly. You see Wisconsin 3-0, Michigan 3-0, Rutgers 3-1, Purdue 3-1, Ohio State, Northwestern, Michigan State 2-1, Penn State 2-2, Indiana 1-2, Nebraska 1-3, Maryland, Iowa also 1-3, Illinois, Minnesota 0-3. Okay? All right. So, you guys, I'm a little parched because we've been talking, or I've been talking. Don't forget, get your tumbler. Bardo's Breakdown Podcast tumbler. These things are great, man. Dishwasher safe, environmentally safe with the metal straw. I got my sweet tea in here, and it's going to stay cold for hours. So make sure you pick yours up. Go to shopcustomizeit.com. Shop, customize with a K. So shopcustomizeit.com. Make sure you get it, y'all. Don't be left out. It's basketball season. You might want some hot chocolate or a hot toddy, whatever it is. Whatever you put it in as, it will stay that way for hours. All right. All right. Let me get up. Ooh, I got a ton of people on here. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Tariq Fleming. What's good, bro? This is my main man right here. Tariq used to be in Chicago, one of Chi-Town's finest, moved out west. Tremendous brother, tremendous father. I'm telling y'all, if you follow him, you will watch his sons grow up. He is a tremendous father. Salute you, Tariq. Good seeing you, brother. Thanks for tuning in, man. Happy New Year to you. What's up, M. Brats? How about them Hawkeyes? Them Hawkeyes, as Tim Brando would say. How about them Hawkeyes? No, that was a fantastic game. One of the better games. Last night, man, we had a last possession three. Well, it wasn't last possession because Ohio State was able to run a play, but they didn't get a very good clean look off. But the game-winning shot in the second to last possession with Purdue beating Ohio State and Iowa coming back from 21 down to beat Indiana. Fantastic night of Big Ten basketball. Dory Melman Petrio, what's up, Dory? Good to see you. Got any information on why Sky Clark is leaving? He's not playing. He's not playing. And Dory, Sky Clark was a 5-star recruit, and there's a lot on his shoulders. I'm sure he gets a lot of noise. And the fact that he's a freshman, he's still knocking rust off his game. But that noise that these players hear today is deafening. I'm so glad I played when I did, because the noise that these young people have to deal with is incredible. And 95% of the noise, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Why we think that 18-year-olds are supposed to be finished products ready for the NBA is ludicrous. Now, there are those examples, right? Bryce Sensabaugh, Jet Howard, they're ready. They still have growth to go in their game, but they are so good right now that after this season, they could go to the NBA and play and be productive. But that's not the norm, right? So Sky Clark and that Illini team, Dory, I'm telling you, I've said this before. To me, they got too much talent. You can't please all those guys. And I thought it was a good problem to have at the beginning of the season because Brad Underwood does such a good job of building chemistry. But man, these guys, that's a lot of talent. And to try to appease and get all these guys minutes, it's hard to do. It's very, very, very difficult to do. And so I'm not surprised. I didn't see an official word that Sky Clark is leaving, but the rumors have been out there. So Dory is tough. All these guys think that they should be playing 32 minutes a game. They should be averaging 15 points and 7 rebounds a game, and they should be first-round picks in the NBA draft after 1 year in college basketball. That's what a lot of the noise is around these young people. And so it's hard when you're 18 years old to try to process all this stuff. You're still trying to figure out being a college student. Like, you're still trying to figure out where the hell your classes are, let alone trying to take a team in the Big Ten that's expected to be a Big Ten title contender, and you're the starting point guard, and you've never been to Wisconsin. You've never played at Purdue. You haven't had the coach on your ass in practice, and then you have to come back and perform. All these are new experiences, and yet we think as adults who want so much for these kids, because some people are dependent on him from a money standpoint. Some people are dependent on him from whatever standpoint, right? It's not right. And I'm sorry that this young man feels like he needs to go to another situation, but maybe it's the best thing for him. And maybe it's one less player. If it is true, I don't know it to be true because I haven't seen it officially announced yet. But if it is true that Sky Clark is leaving, it might benefit him and it might benefit Illinois. Who knows? Let's wait and see. But thank you, Dory, for always supporting. Happy New Year to you. Tommy Elam, you are the man, Stephen. Best insight on Big Ten hoops. Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate that. I happen to think Robbie Hummel is damn good. I love listening to Robbie Hummel. He is, and he keeps getting better and better every year. The way he breaks down the game, his knowledge of statistics. He's watching the game. He's giving pertinent statistics when the time is needed. He does an excellent job. To me, I think the Big Ten Network has the best collection of play-by-play and color analysts of anybody, ESPN, Fox included. And I'm one of those analysts for Fox. But I do think that our collection, the play-by-play guys we got, Kevin Kugler, Brandon Gaudin, Lisa Byington, like really? I mean, they might not be household names to everybody, but our play-by-play and color analysts are as good. I'll put our squad up against anybody. That's real talk. Because here's the deal. Certain announcers get a certain persona. That don't mean that they're as good as their persona. I'm not naming names. I'm just telling you the truth. So there's a guy named Mike Mayak. I mess up his last name. Mayak. He's the best NFL analyst up there. And he does a lot of draft stuff. I've seen him call games. Mike Mayak, I think, is the best up there, period. And most people don't even know who he is. I think Jimmy Dykes is probably the best color analyst on ESPN in terms of how he breaks down the game, his knowledge of the SEC and college basketball, how he talks to different coaches and things. So, but you don't hear people saying that he's the best in the business or the best at ESPN, but I think he is. So thank you though, Tommy. I appreciate that, man. It feels good to be recognized in that way. So thank you. Can't wait to hear your take on the Illini. What a mess that game was versus Northwestern. Kenny Kim, my fellow Illini college classmate and friend, Kenny, the Illini are at a crossroads, and we can relax now because some of the expectations are off now. Just hope that the Illini can continue to improve, because if they can get a little bit better every game and get into the tournament, I wouldn't want to see them, because I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to change. Brad Underwood's teams are much better. He may not do it quite as well as Tom Izzo yet, but it's similar of how he builds his team up to be really good at the end of the season. And this team, if they can come together, that's a big if, because they seem to be disjointed right now. But if they can come together, this is a team that can be very dangerous if they can get into the tournament. Steve Kirk, Penn State is hungry for Purdue. Yes, they are. And it's a fascinating matchup because Micah Shrewsbury was on the Purdue staff, so he and Matt Painter are very close. He will often reference some of the things that Matt Painter will say in certain situations. So it's going to be interesting because Purdue's going to know exactly what Penn State's trying to do, and Penn State's going to know exactly what Purdue's trying to do. And so now you got to go out and make plays as a player. And the best playmaker in that game is not on Purdue, it's on Penn State, is Jalen Wilson-Pickett. Now, the Purdue team as a team on paper looks better. But the adjustments, Matt Painter and Micah Shrewsbury will be two mad scientists on Sunday. If you guys aren't watching NFL and you're not out and about, make sure you tune in to Big Ten Network at 5 p.m. on Sunday. That's going to be a hell of a game. Heck of a game. Can Illini beat Wisconsin at home? Of course they can, Steve. Listen, any given day, any given game, any given night in the Big Ten, that's how it is this year. Of course Illinois can beat Wisconsin. Yes. Now, will they? We'll have to – if y'all put me on the spot, I'll make a prediction. But I don't typically like making predictions. I just like giving you the facts leading into the game so that you can make a more informed decision. But, of course, the Illini can beat Wisconsin at home. And don't think that Wisconsin's taking them lightly. Greg Gard and his staff and Tyler Wall, Chucky Hepburn, Stephen Crowell, they know what they're getting into. They know they're going into a hostile environment. They know they're playing a desperate team. Yes, Illinois can win that game. Will they? We'll wait and see. But thank you, Steve. Donnie Simmons. Northwestern was 44 from points from turnovers and foul shots than Illinois. Illinois must stop fouling, turn the ball over to win, and they will be fine. Donnie, those are great statistics. Thank you for sharing that. I was not aware of those 2 points, but well said. And again, the Illini need to figure out who they are. They're still they're searching for an identity. Who are they? What can they hang their hat on? So in their wins, UCLA and Texas, they played good enough defense to let their offense take over at the end. You remember when Meyer went off in the second half, Shannon got hot in the overtime against Texas. And then against UCLA, they had multiple contributions from the scoring side. And this was before UCLA really found themselves. Because now, if they were to play today, I think it'd be a much different outcome. Because UCLA is rolling right now. But very, very good insight, Donnie. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And I don't know that I've seen, if this is your first time, Donnie, welcome to Bardo's Breakdown. I appreciate you coming from YouTube. You guys like, share, and comment, and hit that notification bell so that you know when I'm coming up. Because again, I do the show on Mondays, but there's so much action and it's so good this year that I'm going to come during the week as well on shorter lives. And I say shorter lives, we've already gone 41 minutes. So y'all give me life. So I just got to give it back to you. But thank you, Donnie. Appreciate you. Andrew Eisfeld, Clark leaving Illinois. Okay, so that seems to be the thing. I wish that young man luck. I hope that he can land somewhere where the expectations aren't as great, that they allow him to knock the rust off of his game, and that he can go and feel comfortable about where he is and start to regain his confidence, because I think he lost some confidence. And I hope that he can put blinders on and some earplugs and tune out the garbage that he's hearing. Because a lot of times when you see guys that want to transfer mid like that, I told you guys in a couple, like 2 or 3 lives ago, the Christmas break is scary for coaches. It's the most difficult point of the season for players because you're not in class. You're spending all your time together with your team. And so a lot of times, and I thought Michael Shrewsbury this was fantastic, right? So when school lets out, people don't understand that the coaches have you now, and they can work you and work you and work you. So what happens is guys they get out of their normal routine, and it's the holidays, and they're not at home. They're missing their families. They're missing their friends. They may not be playing. It's dark, especially in the upper Midwest. It's dark early. It's cold outside. A lot can wear on you emotionally. And so I'm not surprised to see a player leave at this juncture. That's not a surprise. That happens every single year around the country. If we were to go and research players that are leaving programs, Sky Clark, if it is indeed the truth, I have not confirmed it for myself. So that's why I keep prefacing if it is true, because I don't know it to be true. I know you guys are saying it, and I'll, for the sake of our conversation, I'll go with what you're saying. But hopefully he can go somewhere where he doesn't have the pressure and he can be an 18-year-old that's looking to develop his game and looking to develop himself as a young man. Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Always appreciate your support, my man. Oh, there's no question, Aaron Janowski. No question. Aaron Janowski, tribe member. If you guys want to be a member of the tribe, I'll put the scroll down. Text me 312-847-2739. The inner circle that is Bardo's Breakdown is the best group around college basketball, y'all. It's insiders group. I'm telling you. There's no doubt about it, Aaron, because here's the deal. Why would we think that Terrence Shannon Jr., for Illinois' example, that Terrence Shannon Jr. and Matthew Meyer would have an allegiance to Illinois just because they're at Illinois wearing a jersey and playing for the school, going to school there and they got NIL money? Why would we think that they would have a burning sense of pride for Illinois when they've been there one semester? And that goes for every single transfer around the country. Think about it. Terrence Shannon was at Texas Tech for 3 seasons. Matthew Meyer was at Baylor for 3 seasons. They're more invested in those schools than they are in Illinois. Not that they're not invested in Illinois. They're still figuring things out, right? They're still figuring out, like, what's the best grocery store to go to? They're figuring things out. And Brad Underwood said this at the beginning of the year. Transferring is hard. It is not easy to transfer. You're up. Think about this. I'll give you an example. So let's take ourselves and our jobs, wherever we are. Let's take our jobs. And I'm going to leave Chicago. I'm going to move to Los Angeles, and I'm going to work for Fox Sports exclusively. So I work with them to call games, but I'm never in their studio. I'm never in Los Angeles. But I got to leave Chicago, where my youngest son lives, where all my friends are, where I've been for 27 years now. God, is that right? Woo! I've been in Chi-Town long now. So you're taking me from my home. You're uprooting me. And so the people that I've got relationships with in the Big Ten network that I really care about, I'm getting ripped away from them. And now I've got to go make new relationships with the people in the Fox Sports building. And I got to go on the air and maybe talk about a whole new conference that I don't have a lot of information on. So there's a huge learning curve. There's some anxiety there because I gotta meet new people. It's the same in the transfer portal. But these guys aren't 54 like me that has a wealth of life experience. These guys are 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. These guys are still young. They're still finding out what it's like to be a young man. Of course, the transfer portal affects team chemistry a great deal. And the teams that make it look good, those coaches and that staff have done a magnificent job of welcoming in those players and making them feel comfortable and at home in order for them to come in and be successful. So yes, Aaron, but that's a great point. Thank you, Aaron. As always, Aaron is a tribe member. Join the tribe on that scroll down there below. Let's see. Bardo, it hates me to say this. Terrence Shannon Jr. stock may have went down. He can't shoot a lick. Things go in cycles. Hoop, baller, scoop. You know, you've had good, Hoop, have you had good days and bad days? Have you had good stretches and bad stretches? I have. It happens. We all go through it, right? So he'll recover. He'll be fine. He knows how to work. And his jump shot got good because he knows how to work. He'll go back in the gym and he'll work. And his stock may have gone down, but that doesn't mean that it will keep him from being an NBA player at some point, because I think he has the ability to do just that. So you don't have to hate it for him, hoop, ball, or scoop. That's part of the process. It can't always be sunshine. It's got to rain sometimes. And you know what? Ain't nothing wrong with the rain either. In Jamaica, they call them liquid sunshine, liquid sun showers, because we need the rain. We need the balance so that we're so happy when the sun comes back out. So he's in a tough time right now, but that's what builds character. That's what builds toughness in players. That's what builds character in men, is that they got to go through some of these. He'll be fine. He'll be all right. Thank you, Hoops, Baller, Scoop. Hey, what's up, James? Good to see you, man. Yeah, the Illini are going through it, James. They've had a ton of turnover. This roster has 10 new players. Ton of turnover. And the veterans that came back, I mean, Coleman Hawkins is a talent, but he's a quiet young man. He's more of a guy that leads by example rather than being vocal. And so he's figuring himself out with this whole new team. RJ Melendez, same thing. He's trying to figure it out. Luke Goody will have the same process when he comes off his foot injury. Zachary Perrin, who just got there, trying to figure it out. There's so many different moving parts with this Illini program that I think they got fool's gold early with those 2 top 10 wins early. But then something happened, or maybe they got too confident. Maybe they stopped working as hard. Maybe they're not pulling all in the same direction. And if you've got a kid like Sky Clark that's transferring, that I'm not saying that he did this. But what happens is if you got unhappy players, they can be a cancer in the locker room. They can start to spew negativity that can bleed to other players and affect the way that they view what's going on. I'm not saying that this is what happened. I'm saying that this can happen. And that's why coaches try to keep a pulse on their pulse on the vibe of the team, because if they've got a guy that's very unhappy, he can affect other players. And so they try to address it immediately, whether they go to that player and have a sit down and talk and try to work things out, try to figure out how to make things better for that player. And if that's not possible, they wish him the best of luck, but they try to get him out of there because they don't want that in their locker room. Big Ten, the Big Ten night in and night out this year is as difficult as I've seen in recent memory. There are no easy games. And so if you're not pulling all together, if you're not all one like this, you're going to lose. And so coaches, if they identify a player that's unhappy and they can't somehow get him to a better space, then he's got to find another place. I know that sounds harsh, but that's the reality of college basketball. But thank you, James. Thank you for your support, man. I really appreciate it. Always good seeing you. What's up, Tanya? Wasn't that a gutsy win last night by Purdue? Awesome. Yes, it was. I loved it. I mean, that shows a lot of character. You get beat at home, and then you got to go to what I think is the second best team right now in the Big Ten, and you win. You just lost at home to Rutgers, who I think is probably the third best team right now. Well, no, let me slow down. I don't want to rank them, but Ohio State, Rutgers, and Wisconsin are right below Purdue, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, they're probably all right together. The top four right now, and Michigan State is right behind them. It maybe even joining them, but the top four right now appear to be Rutgers, Purdue, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. And so you lose at home to a team in Rutgers that has your number. And you go on the road and beat Ohio State. That's a hell of a victory, come from behind victory. So that was awesome, Tanya. And thank you. And your avatar is awfully pretty. Gregory Helton, how you doing? I heard Sky Clark just left the program. Don't know how true it is. I think it's true. The people on here, the family in the community that is Bardo's Breakdown, they don't throw hyperbole out there. And they keep their finger on the pulse of the Illini program pretty well. So if I've heard several people saying that, so it's probably true. It's unfortunate for that young man, but we wish him the best. Illinois offense is terrible. Biggest problem. Jay Boak, I guess. Bach. Sorry if I'm butchering your last name, Jay, but thank you. And St. Louis Cardinals avatar. See, that's a smart man right there. Yes, I'm a Cardinals fan. I grew up St. Louis Cardinals. I know I'm in Chicago. Y'all Chicagoans y'all know what y'all can kiss, because St. Louis Cardinals are a real baseball franchise. That's my team growing up. So, Jay, thank you for that. Biggest problem, too many new guys to try to meld into a cohesive direction. A lot of these guys, like a lot of players around the country, it's just not an Illini problem. It's a problem on every single team at the Power 5 conference. Because every single player in the Power 5 conference, 95% of them think they're NBA players. I know that sounds ludicrous, but that maybe not 95, but probably 80% of these guys think they can play in the NBA. And so for a coach to get so many different guys with so many different agendas on the same page is extremely difficult. That's why they make millions a year. That's why they get hired, because not many people can do it. So their biggest problem, figuring out who they are as a team and how they can come together. Jay, this is your first time on here. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. You can join the inner circle of the tribe, inner circle Bardo's Breakdown, 312-847-2739. Shoot me a text, y'all. Kevin McDuffie, what's gone? Okay, if Kevin McDuffie says Clark is gone, then he's gone. Because Kevin McDuffie is a tribe member. He's been rocking with me since day one. That's my man, 100 grand. Kevin, thank you for that. That Illinois game went exactly opposite as I thought. Your score, Kevin, was close to the final score. Was just flipped. You had Illinois winning, but Northwestern won. But your score was pretty close. All the credit to Northwestern. I agree. How about all the credit to Iowa last night? Beat Indiana, came back from what I believe they said was 21 down. Yep. At one time is the third largest comeback in Iowa basketball history. I do feel bad for Race Thompson that he got hurt last night. He was on crutches because he hurt his leg. Oh, we gave Northwestern credit. We gave them all the credit. I mean, yes, we gave them all the credit because they balled out. Think about this. Northwestern beat Illinois, and Boo Buie at one point in the game, I think Boo is their second leading scorer. He was 0 of 10 at one point. He got going in the second half, but at one point he was 0 of 10 from the field. Generally, when your first or second leading scorer has that slow of a start, you end up losing. So that's a big-time credit to Northwestern. And the fact they held the Illini to 60 points, I've been singing Northwestern's praises since I saw him in the non-conference slate. Ron Charles, what's up, Ron? Illini might have peaked too soon in some teams too. I think they lack shooting, and Sky Clark is not it. Well, remember, Ron, Sky Clark is 18. Come on, y'all. Let's keep it real. That's why I think I think our community likes this platform so much, because we try to keep it real on here. Sky Clark could end up being an NBA player for all we know. He's 18. He lost his senior year of high school to a knee injury. He's coming back. He's probably not even 100% yet. But he'll be fine. It's unfortunate that things didn't work out at Illinois, but he's going to be fine. Sky Clark is a good player. He will do well. I just hope that he lands in a situation that's conducive for his game and him developing as a young man. Did the Illini peak too early? Maybe, Ron. That's legit. Could have happened. Could have peaked too early. But I think that they could regain that form if they could all come together. And it may be addition by subtraction. Because I've been saying, I think the Illini just have too much talent. And to try to please all that talent, that's next to impossible. Thank you, Ron. Getting tired of Brad commenting on how young they are as per the team's problems. It's been more of the veteran players who have been playing bad. My Red Pillow. What's up, my Red Pillow? I think you're new. Cool avatar, man, with the Batman glowing and whatnot. That's kind of dope. I mean, my Red Pillow, you might be mad. You might not like, you might be getting tired about what Brad's saying, but is he wrong? I mean, go look at the roster. Go compare their roster to the other Big Ten rosters. They're young. They got some guys, they got some older guys who they're trying to count on, but they got 5 freshmen that play minutes. All of their players, well, Sky's gone, so they got 4 freshmen that play minutes. Zachary Perrin just came in. He's going to play. They got a young squad. So, I know that other programs have had success with younger players, but let me think. Let me try to appease you here. So Michigan has Doug McDaniel, outstanding. Taurus Reed Jr. He balled the other night against Penn State. He's coming, y'all. He's coming. Taurus Reed Jr., he's going to be a problem. He's coming. Yaya. What's Yaya's last name? The kid from Lebanon. He doesn't play. Isaiah Barnes got in a little bit, but he's not been playing. So Michigan plays maybe 2 freshmen. Ohio State plays 3 freshmen. No, they play 4 freshmen. Ohio State may be the outlier because Roddy Gale Jr., Felix Akpara, Bryce Sensenbaugh, and Bruce Thornton play significant minutes. And Akpara played a lot of minutes last night because Zed Key got hurt. So they may be the outlier. Let's look at Wisconsin, who's undefeated in conference play. Connor Essegian is playing. He's playing consistent minutes. But outside of that, I don't know if they have a freshman playing consistent minutes. Let's look at Purdue. Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer. And they're starting. But outside of that, no other freshmen are getting consistent minutes. So you can be tired about what Brad's saying, but what he's saying is kind of accurate. Just saying. Thanks for joining, man. I think this is your first time. Welcome to Bardo's Breakdown. Gregory Helton, in Brad, I trust. See, Gregory, you appear to be a person that is a history major. If you know anything about history, you don't get caught up in what's happening right now, but you take a deep breath and you look back a little bit and you see what Brad Underwood, what his track record is. I would trust him as well. I watched the Michigan-Penn State game and I was impressed. I wouldn't be shocked if Michigan beats Michigan State Saturday. Thoughts? Ron, I wouldn't either. Look. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day in the Big Ten. I'm telling y'all, it is not. There's no gimmies this season. None. Even with Maryland and Illinois struggling, you think people want to go into Maryland and Illinois and try to come out with a victory? Because they can pop right back at any time. Maryland can revert back to them beating the Illini early in the year. They can revert back to beating some of those teams that they beat early in the year. Illinois can revert back to winning some of those games that they have been losing recently. So I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan goes in and beats Michigan State. Not at all. Uh-oh. True fans are not people who have no criticism of a team. Just being a cheerleader, regardless of what's going on, does not make you a good or informed fan. But Red Pillow, let me go back and say something. You can have criticism, but you can also sound like a jackass from time to time if you don't know what you're talking about. So you can be tired of what a coach is saying, but if it's accurate, it is what it is. So you can think that you're an informed fan because you have criticism. But is your criticism warranted? That's the question that I pose to you in particular. Okay? So I'm not telling you to be a fair weather fan. I'm not telling you not to have an opinion. But to be critical of something that is obvious, I mean, is that Brad's fault or is that your fault? Just asking. Mr. Bardo, I think UCLA can win a national title. They've got all the pieces. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. No, Moni, you're spot on. No doubt about it. Sky Clark is gone. Okay. What's everyone's opinion on Sky's Illini career? I think it was too short to really say, Greg, don't you? Bardo, not that you know the reason, but I want to get your thoughts on why hasn't the Boo Man. What's up, Boo Man? Good to see you. The Big Ten hasn't won a national championship since 2000 because other conferences have been able to attract future pro talent. To win a national championship, you guys have heard me say this. You got to have outstanding guard play. You got to have 3 potential NBA, future NBA players, and you got to have experience. Oh, and 4, and you got to have luck. So you got to have excellent guard play. You've got to have experience. You got to have at least 3 future NBA players, and you got to have luck. And so those 4 characteristics have escaped the Big Ten, because if you think about it, Wisconsin was very close in 14 and 15, I believe, with Kaminsky, Sam Decker, and they ran into Grayson Allen and Duke. And then in the championship game, and then they ran into who'd they lose to in the Final Four? My memory's escaping me, but Wisconsin was close. Michigan was close. When they lost to Louisville and they lost to Villanova. They lost to Louisville in the Final Four, and they lost to Villanova in the national championship game. They were close. But they ran into some buzzsaws. So I think those are the reasons why Big Ten hasn't won since 2000. What's up, Curtis Dietz? Oh, okay. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Wait a minute. Who are you referring to, my red pillow? At least he tried to drive to. Oh, you talking about Sky Clark? Okay. Is that what you're talking about, my red pillow? Please expound on that. Gregory Helton. Wow, this is unusual. Gregory Helton likes. He's a Fran Fraschilla fan and an Illini fan. That's unusual. Oh, Fran can definitely coach. There's no doubt. Fran can definitely coach. Why do they call Tom Izzo Mr. March and he hasn't won since 2000? Because his teams get better in March. And what other Big Ten team has won it? What other Big Ten team has won it in the 2000s? In the last 2 decades? Hadn't happened. They called Tom Izzo Mr. March because his teams peak at the right time. And if this team stays healthy, you're going to – I'm not saying they'll win a national championship, but I believe they could easily get to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. It's a very, very good Michigan State team. Tommy Elam, good riddance. Got the feeling he never wanted to be here. Never showed me anything that made me think he was a 5-star recruit. Well, Tommy, here's the thing, man. You got to be careful with those rankings, those player rankings, because those player rankings aren't necessarily based on fact, and they're not necessarily based on people that really know the game. They're based on media coverage, rumor and innuendo. Could be athleticism. They could have a good showing at a particular tournament, but that might be an outlier. They might be like this, but then they have a bump in play, and they impress some people who are ranking players. So you got to be careful about these rankings. Look at the Purdue Boilers. They get players that aren't ranked high. Believe it or not, Jaden Ivey wasn't I believe he's a top 100, but he wasn't like top 50, top 25, I don't think. Zach Edey wasn't top anything. So those, you got to be careful about those rankings. Those 5, 4-star, be careful about that. Rogers giving nothing either, but I love Epps and Harris. If Harris puts on some muscle and develops a better shot, oh my God, watch out. No doubt on Epps and Harris, but my red pill, I appreciate you, man. You spicy. I appreciate you. Ty Rogers is a future pro. You heard me say that. Ty Rogers is a future NBA player. I know you don't think he gives you anything, but he's not fitting right now for whatever reason. The coaching staff may not have a lot of confidence in him. But skill set wise, he's a consistent jumper away from the NBA. You heard me say that. Curtis Dietz, there it is. Thank you. There it is. Thomas Dagley. What's up, Thomas? Good to see you, man. Always appreciate you. Scott Clark won't be the only one leaving. Epps next. I think Epps is getting a lot of burn. Epps is one of the few players that played well against Northwestern, so I don't understand why he would leave, because he's getting a lot of run and he's scoring and he seems way more comfortable than Sky Clark ever seen. So I don't know. Tarun Reddy, what's up, Tarun? Hadn't seen you in a while. Thanks for joining. The Badgers are shooting above average from 3-point range. What do the Illini need to do to counter the Badgers' strength? Good question. The Badgers are excellent at controlling tempo. And if you get into a half-court battle with the Badgers, you're more than likely going to lose. So if you cannot push tempo, and you can't, and Wisconsin is historically one of the best teams at taking care of the basketball. So if you can't speed the Badgers up, and if you can't get them to turn the ball over more often than they average, then you're going to be in for a long night, because Chucky Hepburn can score with the shot clock running down. Tyler Wall is a nightmare of a matchup. Connor Essegian is getting more confident by the day. Carter Gilmore gives them exactly what they need, some size up front. He plays hard, and he's starting to get some offense. So the Illini have a tall task to try to beat Wisconsin, because the Wisconsin Badgers are like Bernard Hopkins. You all remember the fighter Bernard Hopkins? He was so good. He was such a good defensive fighter. He wasn't a big-time knockout puncher, but he could knock you out. But what Bernard Hopkins would do was get you into the late rounds and drown you. He'll pull you into the deep end of the pool and he'll drown you. Meaning, he's going to wrestle with you. He's going to hit you. He's going to bump you. He's going to clutch you. He's going to, when the referees break you from the clutch, he's going to pop you real quick. He's going to do different things to keep you off balance and to get you to fight his style. That's exactly what Wisconsin does. You want to come in, you want to run, you want to be aggressive. What does Wisconsin do? They take your energy and they use it against you. So if you're pressuring Wisconsin, they get it across half court. A lot of teams want to make teams pay when they pressure them. They want to get to the hole, get layups and dunks. Wisconsin can do that too. They can do that if they so choose to. But a lot of times, from what I've seen Wisconsin do in years past, and with this team, is that if they get pressured, they'll get across half court, and they'll call a set that they can get into quickly and cut you up. And they cut you up. And then what happens? They make you guard for so long, and then you go back and rush on offense. You take a quick shot, and then they walk it up. And they drag you into the deep end. And then by 10 minutes left to go in the second half, you're sitting here like, man, we don't have any fast break points. These dudes are cutting us up. I'm tired of this dude hitting me with this back screen. I'm tired of Connor Essegian coming up and getting a down screen from Stephen Crow and hitting the three. I'm tired of Chucky Hepburn. Man, we defended for, 25, 27 seconds of the shot clock, and Chucky Hepburn bails him out with a contested shot. And they do that to you time and time again. So if I'm the Illini, I'm trying to pressure. I'm trying to crush the offensive glass. They've got to live on the offensive glass. And Wisconsin's a good rebounding team. They don't give up a ton of offensive rebounds, but you better find a way. You better do something unorthodox that you may not be accustomed to doing in order to try to beat Wisconsin, because they will not beat themselves. You have to beat them. You have to shoot the ball well. You have to try to get them out of some rhythm, and you have to crash the offensive glass because you need extra possessions. Because in a game whenever you play the Wisconsin Badgers, you're not going to get as many possessions as you're accustomed to getting. You're not. So now that those jumpers that used to come easy, now there's more pressure on those jumpers because you're not going to get as many opportunities. It's a fascinating way that the Wisconsin Badgers play, and they do it so well. So well. Greg Gard and his staff do a fantastic job. Doesn't even matter who they have on their roster. And they still beat you. It doesn't matter. Steve Bardo, help this work debate we're having. Okay, Trey Burke was National Player of the Year, right? Jordan Poole at Michigan was a solid but not a great, great player. So how is Jordan Poole's NBA career flourishing more than Trey Burke? Because the college basketball game is different than the NBA game. Trey Burke is smaller. Trey Burke's a good athlete, but he's not an elite athlete. Jordan Poole is taller, could shoot better than Trey, and is dynamic on the offensive end. And Jordan Poole got to the right team for his skill set and his personality. That's why. Trey Burke has had a hell of an NBA career. He's been with, I believe, the Heat, the Magic, the Mavs, maybe the Pistons. I think Trey Burke's been with at least 4 NBA teams. He's had a hell of an NBA career. But Jordan Poole's a different animal. Jordan Poole's different. Don't forget now, Jordan Poole hit a shot to beat Houston in the second round of the NCAA tournament that allowed Michigan to advance to the Sweet 16. You may have think he had a so-so career at Michigan, but Jordan Poole had a good career, but he left early because his game was better suited for the NBA than Trey Burke. And that takes nothing away from Trey Burke. He's an outstanding player, great college player, and a good NBA player. But Jordan Poole's game, especially with the Golden State Warriors, is more suited for that style of play. Great question, though. Great work debate. I love it. Hope that helps. Okay, Gregory Helton's talking about Sky Clark. Who you got, Michigan State or Michigan Saturday? Ooh. I like Michigan State because it's at home. Both teams are playing extremely well. Michigan's starting to understand life without Jalen Llewellyn. But here's the deal. If Joey Baker can shoot the three like he shot against Penn State, Terrence Reed Jr. can come in and play the way and spell Hunter Dickinson the way he did, because Jett Howard didn't have a particularly good game. Kofi Buffkin did okay. They didn't have great games. But if you can get contributions from Baker, Reed off the bench, and either Jett or Kobe Buffkin have good games, Michigan can pull the upset. That no question about it. But if I had to make a choice, I'd lean towards Michigan State because they're at home and they're starting to take off. Malik Hall back in the fold. Tyson Walker balled out. He was in a mini slump. He balled out. Joey Hauser is looking better than ever. And listen, Jackson Kohler, he's coming. Jackson Kohler is coming. The freshman big for Michigan State, he's coming. And he's going to be an X factor. Mady Sissoko is good for what Michigan State's doing, but he don't have a game that Jackson Kohler has. Okay? So Michigan State is coming. And if I had to pick right now, because they're at home, I'd give the slight edge to Michigan State. My red pillow, no, there are no must-wins. There are no must-wins. Illinois got quality wins. If they just don't nosedive in the Big Ten, they'll be an NCAA tournament team. They'll get back on they'll start to win games. I disagree, but you know what? I like my red pillow. Spicy. Got some strong comments. I like it. So thank you. Good stuff, man. Ooh, y'all are on here today, aren't you? Now Hawkins can be the point guard he always wanted to be, says Tommy Elam. Yeah, let's get Coleman Hawkins to take a step back and remember what a good shot is, and that he doesn't have to be Tragic Johnson. He's trying to be Magic Johnson, but a lot of times he looks like Tragic Johnson because he's overhandling and he's trying to make the crazy pass. Just pass the ball, Coleman, if you don't have a shot. Or if you don't have a straight line drive, give it up. But save that NBA showcase stuff, because that's what I think has gotten into his head. He's trying to showcase that he can do all these things at 6'10". He can be a 6'10" point guard. Forget that. Make the easy play. If the ball swings to you, you got to open three, take the damn three. If you got to drive, take the drive. If you can slide into the post, get in the post and do work. But simplify your game, Coleman. Stop trying to be Magic Johnson because you look like Tragic Johnson right now. Settle down. Do this to the noise outside, because those people talking to you that tell you what you need to be doing probably don't know what they're talking about. Just do this. And then when the coaches and your teammates talk, do that. And then when they stop talking, do this again. That's what Coleman needs to do, in my opinion. Netta Johnson, will Tom Izzo ever get that second title? I feel if once it wants to sit at the table with Coach K, Wooden, Knight, Roy Williams, Jim Calhoun, he has to get that second title. And he even says he needs a second title. Well, I mean, at Netta, he's always going to be the man in my book. I love Tom Izzo. He helped recruit me out of high school, so I've known him forever. The dude stands on principle. He's a principled man, and he develops young men as well as anybody in the business. He's one of the best coaches in the business. So I'd like to see him get another title, but if he doesn't, I don't think that diminishes him as one of the best coaches to ever coach. That may not be a popular opinion, but that's how I feel about it, Netta. But thank you. I appreciate that. Mark Smith. Steve, what's it going to take to right ship in Champaign? These boys don't look hungry enough. They got to figure out who they are, Mark. Who are they going to be? What are they going to hang their hat on? What can you guys point to right now that this Illini team does well? Out of everything that you see the Illini do, what do they do well consistently? Because I don't know what that is. I haven't figured that out yet. Maybe they haven't either. That's why they're having struggles. But what is it that the Illini do consistently well? And when they figure out what they can do well and execute what it is that they do well, they'll start to have success. But until that point, until they figure out who they are and what they hang their hat on, what does Purdue do as well as anybody in the country? Get the ball inside. What does Ohio State do as well as anybody in the country? Balanced, efficient offense. What does Rutgers do as well as anybody in the country? Toughness and defense. What does Wisconsin do as well as anybody in the country? Ball possession, quality shots, tough defense. You see where I'm going with that? All the teams that are at the top of the conference right now, they have an identity. They hang their hat on one. They try to do a lot of things, but they hang their hat on one thing or two things. What do the Illini hang their hat on? Until they can figure that out, I think they're going to continue to struggle. Could it be Sky Clark isn't that good? Of course it could be, but I think he's going to be pretty good. I think we're going to look back and say, wow, that kid, too bad it didn't work out at Illinois, but glad it worked out for him somewhere else. Lawyer from Purdue was letting it fly from downtown last night. He was, Eric, and he wasn't hitting many, but he hit the most important one. He certainly did. I'd keep Epps, Harris, in danger. Everyone else can leave. You don't like R.J. Melendez? You don't like Luke Goody? You don't like Coleman Hawkins? You don't like these guys? Come on now. Wow. Okay, Jay. Strong comment. I respect you. I don't necessarily agree, but I respect you. M. Broad, yes. Tony Weisinger just sent me a text. Thank you, Tony, for the assist. My college teammate, my brother from another mother. Love him to death. Merch link. You talking about these, Steve? Shop customizeit.com. Hold on. Let me pull that up. Where is it? Oh, here it is. There you go, Steve. Shopcustomizeit.com. Thank you for asking. All right. Boo. This is my boy right here. Oops, what'd you mess up, Boo? Oh, wait a minute. He said, hey, Bardo, quick question for you. Did you mentor Davis? I wouldn't say I mentored him, Boo. Larry Smith, my college teammate, roommate, fellow freshman, fellow Flying Illini member, my brother. I wouldn't say that I've given him pointers. I've been on his podcast. He's been on my show. We talk a lot. So I guess I could say I'm a mentor, but not like not official Larry, but I guess you could say that. Um, he's great to show on the air. You know what it is, Larry? I'm glad you brought this up. Raphael Davis is doing an excellent job on Big Ten Network. He, Trent Meacham, Trey Demps, Bruce Weber, they're doing an excellent job. And you know why? Because they're getting reps. They're getting an opportunity. So if the Illini team was built a little bit differently and they didn't have as much talent and depth as they have, and you could go 8 to 9 players as opposed to going 10 to 11 players, Sky Clark might be better. But the fact that he was able to start games doesn't mean that he was able to finish them, or doesn't mean that he got a lot of opportunity in crunch time. So that's why Raphael and those guys are doing well, is because they've gotten cracks at it. And also Raphael, well, I guess I would say I've mentored him because Raphael did start his own show. And this is, Larry, this is like shooting our 500 jumpers in the gym a day. That's why I started this platform, was to get reps outside of the season, because every time I came back to the season, I was rusty to begin because I wasn't calling games. But this platform allows me to research, stay sharp on what's going on, to speak and to answer questions and to think on my feet, just like we do on television. So Raphael's been doing that, and you're seeing the end result of his hard work. Uh-oh. Tough question for you and the people in the comments. Name me your top 5 players based on just the Big Ten from 2010 to 2022. If you could name the 5 best Big Ten players from that time frame. I'm going to let somebody else do that. Melendez can't shoot the 3 ball to save his life. And last year he used to drive. No more this season. Jay, they're still trying to figure it out. If you get 4 to 5 shots a game, you're not going to be very good from three-point land either. The best three-point shooters know that they're going to get looks. RJ Melendez right now doesn't know where he's going to get his shots. That, if, like, as a player, certain things have to be a constant in order for you to be successful. So Zach Edey knows that he's going to touch the ball a bunch. Hunter Dickinson knows that he's going to touch the ball a bunch. Terrence Shannon Jr. knows that he's going to touch the ball a bunch. But RJ Melendez doesn't know that he doesn't know how many shots he's going to get going in each game. He doesn't know where his shots are going to come from. So if you don't know where your shots are going to come from, and there's not a consistency in where you're going to get your looks from, it's hard to be consistent. What's your take on Pike? Why is he so underrated? Mike Powers. Great question, Mike Powers. Steve Pikiell at Rutgers is underrated because he doesn't give a damn what people think about him. That's why. He doesn't stomp for the media. He's not trying to say stuff to make people feel warm and fuzzy. He calls it like he sees it. He holds his young man accountable. He's not stomping to get on national television. He just goes to work. Steve Pikiell's a beast. Rutgers is a beast right now. That has been one of the best ascensions of a Big Ten program that started in the bottom and worked their way to the top. It's a fascinating story. I hope somebody's documenting this journey from when Steve Pikiell took the job to where they are right now. His ability to recruit the players that fit his system, his ability to get his guys to play the style of basketball that they need to play to be successful, the ability to get the rack to be one of the toughest places in the Big Ten to go win a game. That's all Steve Pikiell's fingerprints. And so the fact that he's underrated nationally is because the same way that Matt Painter is underrated nationally, the same way that Chris Holtman is underrated nationally. They don't politic. They don't pander. I don't know that any coaches do that in the Big Ten. Izzo is got this aura because he's Izzo. He's one of the best to do it. He's got a national championship. He's put pros out. He develops young men. But Steve Pikiell just goes about his business. And you notice one thing, ladies and gentlemen, he doesn't get technical fouls. Steve Pikiell doesn't get technical fouls. He doesn't allow his team to talk to the refs. He doesn't allow his coaches to talk to the ref. Not allow. He discourages them from focusing on the officiating. Now, Fran McCaffrey, on the other hand, he might get a one tech a game, depending on the circumstances. That's just the way that he coaches. But Steve Pikiell does it differently. Not that one is better than the other, but Steve Pikiell is a guy that is if you were to go have a beer, Mike, with Steve Pikiell, you'd love it. Because one, he's got some funny ass stories. Because he played for Jim Calhoun at Connecticut. So he's got some great stories. He's been at Stony Brook. He's been at lower levels. And he's appreciative of where he is. And so he's good in terms of, who he is and where his program is right now. He's good. That's why I think he's underrated. But that's a great point. Cassius Winston was one of the best point guards I've seen in the Big Ten since maybe Burke. But why you think Cassius, as great as he was isn't in the league? I love that dude's game. Cassius Winston is an excellent point guard. I thought Cassius Winston was with the Washington Wizards organization. I thought he was with the Wizards. Maybe I'm wrong. He might be on a two-way where he goes G League and then back up, but I thought he was with the Wizards. Because who was saying that someone was giving him love? I think it was Bradley Beal. But Bradley Beal was giving Cassius Winston a lot of love. So the dude can play, but athletically, he's just not. Guys, the NBA, there's only been 4,000 players to ever play in the NBA. In the 75-year existence of the league. 75 years. There's only been 4,000 players to ever, it might be 4,500 now. There's less than 5,000 players that ever play in the NBA. I'm one of them. It's hard. Success in college doesn't necessarily equate to success at the NBA. It's two different games. The NBA is crazy athletic. Crazy. Those guys run so fast. And it doesn't look like it because they're pros. They're efficient. They're machines. Their bodies are machines. They are flying up the court. If college basketball went to a 24-second shot clock, you would see 30% more turnovers in the college game. That's how skilled and athletic the NBA game is. So when you see a kid or you see a player dominate at the college level, it does not equate to success at the NBA level necessarily. Sometimes it does. If that player is athletically gifted enough to compete at the NBA level, of course. But if they're not, that's what you see. But, I love Cassius Winston. He was a beast. Kenny Kim talking about addition by subtraction. Kenny, I just wish the best for the young man. I really, really do. Hoop Baller Scoop, what are your thoughts on Chris Beard's firing? I mean, I feel bad for his fiance and him, who had to have their public business or private business in public, and for it to cost him his job. But if he indeed put his hands on his fiance and strangled her and hit her, I mean, you have to live up to the punishment. If that's indeed what happened, Chris Beard is going to be fine. He was making millions before he got to Texas, and he'll get another job. He's too good of a coach not to. But if you put your hands on somebody, you get what you deserve. Can't put your hands on people. Point blank. Watching Hunter Dickinson, do you feel when he catches the ball, he doesn't make his move quick enough? I feel if he goes faster, he would be more successful, and the guards at times miss him. No, Hunter knows what he's doing. I think Hunter Dickinson is underrated because he's such a good passer, and almost every time he gets the basketball, he gets double teamed. You don't want to catch and go quick, and the double team's coming, you don't see it. That's a turnover. He knows what he's doing. Clark going to Tennessee. Jay, was that announced already? Help me out. More playing time for Goody when he comes back. Luke Goody. Oh, Luke is going to play anyway because Illini desperately need his consistent outside shooting, something that they lack. How great was Glenn Rice in college? Let these youngins know. Paint a picture about Glenn, says Hoops Nation. Let me try to think. And it's interesting, Hoops Nation, that your avatar is Kevin Durant because Glenn Rice has some Kevin Durant in him. Kevin Durant is 7 foot. Glenn Rice is 6'9". Glenn Rice has range like Kevin Durant. That's what type of range he had. And Glenn Rice was a sneaky athlete. Like he could jump. Like he could surprise you. He could jump. He'd dunk on your head. Strong and was tough. Like Glenn didn't talk stuff, but he would compete. He would compete. And the reason he didn't talk stuff is because everybody was smart enough not to say nothing to him because he'd torch you. Oh, Glenn Rice was a beast. He was tough. For years, I got sweats in the middle of the night in that Final Four game because he gave me 29 in a Final Four game. That's hard to do. Glenn Rice was tough. Tough. Who do you think can spell Hawkins? He is playing too many minutes, which is turned into bad play. Jason, you think he's playing too many minutes? I thought Underwood was doing a good job of that was one thing I thought the Illini were doing well with was keeping guys fresh because it didn't appear that any one player was playing too many minutes. And I guarantee you, if you ask Coleman Hawkins, he doesn't think he's playing too many minutes. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's in his head. Let's see. Let me get to somebody that I haven't heard from yet. Thoughts on the job Juwan Howard has done at Michigan so far. I think he's one of the top coaches in the Big Ten. People don't remember. Then two of his players he was supposed to have skipped Michigan, yes, and went to the G League elite team. So Michigan would have even been better. People don't remember that his players went to the G League. Keep up the good work. Donnell Jackson, great points. Excellent points. And I'm going to let y'all in a secret. Because, Terrence is at Illinois. Terrence Shannon was supposed to go to Michigan. He wasn't going to Illinois initially. He was going to Michigan. And they couldn't get him in school. I don't know what the situation was. I don't know the specifics. But Terrence Shannon Jr. was his initial intent was to be a Michigan Wolverine. It wasn't to be a fighting Illini. It was he was going to be a Michigan Wolverine. And for some reason, administration, I don't know what happened. But he was originally going to Michigan. He wasn't originally going to Illinois. So to Donnell Jackson's point, you get Terrence Shannon and what were those two guys that went to the G League? They were tough too. One was a big and one was a wing. Then he lost Diabate and Caleb Houston early to the league. Diabate was ready. Caleb Houston should have brought his behind back. because he wasn't ready. But if Caleb Houston is on his team and Terrence Shannon Jr. is on Michigan right now, you'd be talking about them as a national title contender. Very good point, Donnell Jackson. Very, very good point. They said Bardo, he can't transfer until Illinois signs off, correct? They're not going to keep – there's not going to be a coach that's going to keep a player from leaving if he wants to leave. It's not going to happen. I don't think they can do that anymore. I think the transfer portal is different. I don't think you can keep a player from leaving if they want to leave. What's up, Jay Hood? Kenny Williams and I are on the UIC bus checking in, enjoying the knowledge as always. Thank you, Jay Hood. Appreciate you, brother. You and Kenny Williams, boy, y'all been supporting me from day one. Jonathan Hood is the play-by-play, and Kenny Williams is the color analyst for the UIC Flames, University of Illinois Chicago Flames. They do a great job. Let's see. What's up, Mike Motor? Steve, got to say that I'm always looking forward to your next show. Flying in line at Cred, vast basketball knowledge, and you keep it real. Thank you, Mike. I try, man. Look, you guys could be spending your time doing anything that you want to do. I've been on here for an hour and 41 minutes. We got more people on here live than when I started. So you guys could you could be doing anything with your time, but you choose to spend it with me. I don't take that lightly. I really, really appreciate that because you all make this platform, not me. I set it up. My name is on it, but I'd be talking to myself if you all weren't on here giving me love, giving me support, and dropping knowledge. So thank you, Mike Motor. Thank you so much. I don't know that I've seen your name. This is your first time on here. Welcome. My red pillow is going to be a favorite with Bardo's breakdown. That's funny. They keep talking trash on Underwood. Texas is looking for a coach. Rodney Terry should get that job. Rodney Terry, who's the interim coach right now, Rodney Terry has been a part of the Texas program for years when Rick Barnes was there. Rodney Terry knows the Texas program better than anybody in the country, including Rick Barnes. So Rodney Terry should get the nod on that job, in my opinion. Brad Underwood doesn't need to go anywhere. He's fine. Wait a minute, Mike. Oh, okay. RU guard play OS top week. What are you saying, Michael? Oh, come on, Mike. RU's guards play too weak? What do you mean? They just beat the number one team in the country. What are you talking about, Mike? Mike on the mic. This is my guy, y'all. Michael Ross is a firefighter in New Brunswick, New Jersey, I believe it is. It's in the Piscataway, New Brunswick, New Jersey area. He is a very knowledgeable basketball fan. He's a great firefighter, but he's a better comedian. He's an excellent comic. His career is taking off. He's doing a fantastic job. And I think he's trying to get a laugh here because you're tripping, Mike. Paul McCahey, Derek Simpson, the outstanding freshman, Cam Spencer leads the league in steals, and I think Cam's averaging 15 points a game. Caleb McConnell, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year last year. Come on, Mike, you tripping. You tripping. Mike on the mic. Check him out, though. Check his profile out. He's funny as hell. Does a good job. Oh, Steve Kirk was saying DeMar Hamlin doing well, got the breathing tube released. All those prayers worked out for that young man. I'm glad to see that. Nathan Lauder. Hey, Nathan, you're going to see more of this in college basketball with the transfer portal. Oh, now we got conversation going between people on here. Let's see. Gregory. Okay. Let's dissect this a little bit. Taurus Reed Jr., Terrence Williams, Hunter Dickinson, no, Isaiah Barnes is more of a wing. Jet Howard's a wing. Oh, they got Will Cheddar. They got four bigs. So I think Michigan is fine up front. And let's talk about that 7-man rotation. You got Doug McDaniel, Kofi Buffkin, Jet Howard, Terrence Williams, Hunter Dickinson, Terrace Reed Jr., Joey Baker, Isaiah Barnes. Will Cheddar didn't play last game, but he can come in and give good minutes. I'm missing somebody else. I think they got more like an 8-9-man rotation. I think most teams, 8-9-man rotation is the norm. So I think they're going to be okay. Well, okay, squares, circles, squares. Here's the deal. You know what's wrong with today's generation? Us, the adults. That's what's wrong with today's generation. It's not their fault. We made them soft. We invented social media. We gave participation trophies. We try to keep them from getting hurt. We try to keep them from going through some of the childhood trauma that we went through. We adults can't keep our neighborhoods safe enough so that our kids can go to the playground and develop some of the character and toughness that I was allowed to do. Nick Anderson was allowed to be on the west side of Chicago to go to the playground, even in crime-ridden areas. The adults back then, the people who were doing nefarious activities, they gave basketball players a pass. Oh, he hoops, leave him alone. Don't touch him. So what's wrong with today's generation is us. It's not them. It's us. So if we want to start pointing fingers, point the finger back at yourself. If you are an adult, I don't know who you are. I appreciate you joining, but I'm just saying I'm very, very sensitive about us blaming young people. That's on us. We can't keep our neighborhoods safe. We can't allow our kids to walk out of the house and go down the street to the playground where all of the development is made. That's how I became a player, was at the playground. It wasn't when adults were around. You remember when you go to the playground and you could curse? You could cuss? Because there were no adults around. And like, we didn't go tell our parents everything, because if we did, they'd have a stroke. We could drink out of a garden hose because we kept the water clean. The water's not clean anymore. We did that, not the kids, not these young people. So let's not blame. Let's not do that. We don't want to do that on this platform. If you talk about keeping it real, let's keep it real. We're the problem with with this generation, not them. All right. I'm not jumping on you, squares, circle, squares. I'm just saying I get very protective of when adults talk about, oh, this generation, this garbage. We're the problem with this younger generation, not them. Let's see. Hey, Becky, yes, we discussed the Sky Clark situation already. You might want to go back and listen. Oh, man, we're an hour 49 in. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Let's Toast Media. Salute you, partner. Thank you. Good luck to your Wolverines this weekend. Great game coming up. See, this is good. This is when you know you got a good platform, because if people start going back and forth on each other inside it. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Chef Brian X, congratulations, brother. Newlywed. One of the best chefs in the business. Happy New Year to you, brother. Keep doing your thing and congratulations. Joe Stovall said, what did the Illini do? Turn the ball over and foul. Joe Stovall, tribe member. Always coming strong. Let's see. Let me get to somebody else. I know Michigan is still a ways out of NCAA tournament picture. No, they're not. But how important would a win against Michigan State be for their chances? No, they're not out. They're not way out of an NCAA picture. They got 3 Big Ten wins already. They'll have a chance to get more Big Ten wins. Oh, obviously, if they beat Michigan State, obviously that will help. There's no doubt Arctic canvas, but they're fine. They're in good shape. Uh-oh. Now you talking about my nephew now, Phoenix Gill, one of the top freshmen in the state of Illinois right now. Kendall Gill's son. He's an outstanding player, but I love him. That's my nephew, so I'm not going to talk about him yet. We're going to give him some time. Making Rutgers basketball relevant program is no easy task. Pikel's a hell of a coach. Say it again, Kevin Lucas. Say it from the mountaintop so everybody across the country will hear you, because they're slow to pick up on what Steve Pikel's putting down. Mike McKenna, good to see you, Mike. Jaden Epps has been one of our better players recently. He gets to the hoop, decent jumper. Can he run the team? Yeah, Mike, I think so. And I totally agree with you. Ooh. That's right, Kevin. How are we going to blame the generation when we raise them? I don't know how that can happen. Whiskey Tornado. That's a sweet name. I can listen to Bardo talk all day. Who's love you, man. Love you too, Whiskey Tornado. I love the name and love the avatar. I'm not a whiskey drinker, but man, you need to put a link, because if I do have whiskey drinkers, they might want to check that out, because Whiskey Tornado, that's a sweet name. I'm gonna try to save my voice, y'all, because we've been going for an hour and 52 minutes. This has been fantastic. Thank you guys, man, for the love and the support. I will come on here and hold court with you guys as much as possible. I got some changes coming to Bardo's Breakdown. Nothing drastic, just to add to the show to make it better. Okay? So I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for taking the time out. This has been off the chain. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have. Enjoy the games the rest of this week. It's going to be some fantastic games. Let me pull that back up real quick before we get off. Hold on. Let me pull these games up. Michigan at Michigan State tomorrow, 1:30 on Fox. Number 14th ranked Wisconsin invades State Farm Center to take on the Illini at 12:30 p.m. on ESPN2. And then Sunday, Purdue finishes a gauntlet of a week at Penn State, 5 p.m. BTN. Be there or be square, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Love you all. Holla at y'all later. Peace.